going into it with the same mentality you did as going into football of like, if I don't make this work, like I'm gonna die. And so if you don't go into that with that attitude, it's not gonna work out because that's why football worked out because you went into it thinking if I don't make this football thing work, like my ass is gonna be on the street.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to That Entrepreneur Show. I am super psyched for today. We're bringing on a former baller. Had an interesting story to share with me behind the scenes about his time with the Jets, but when I saw his that team on his stat line, I had to bring it up. But since then, he's been running a successful real estate investment firm focused on commercial and residential development. He's also co-founded BrainTree Nutrition, a science-backed supplement company promoting cognitive health for athletes and beyond, which I love. Andrew, thank you so much for taking the time to join That Entrepreneur Show.
Thanks for having me, man. What's going on?
Not much. I'm excited to hop into this today. You've got a lot of value to add, not only just from the relentless work ethic he had to endure in his NFL career, but now he's built probably many companies. He's got these two here listed with me. He actively advises early stage companies through Fourth and One Ventures, which is an angel investor group of NFL athletes. But that's not it. I love this part, how he's giving back to the game. He secured Rice University's first NIL deal with Braintree and mentors student athletes fostering the next generation. What was the inspiration behind that company?
So whenever I was playing, there weren't many, if any, safe, transparent, banned substance free supplements that you could take to help with brain health and help with focus and memory, cognitive function, neuroprotection. Obviously, we sustain a lot of TBIs, repetitive hits to the head, concussions while playing in the NFL, and we needed something to take. The NFL is also extremely strict on Adderall prescriptions or if you have any type of ADHD symptoms. So we had to make something that was a natural Adderall. So we kind of just set out to formulate a line of products that were backed by human clinical studies using ingredients that we knew were efficacious and could help improve these areas, not only for us but for our teammates. And just years of repetitive head trauma, we realized there was a need for a better product like that. There's a huge mental part of the game as far as memorizing plays, forgetting old plays, re-downloading new plays to your brain, and a lot of instant, recall on the field. It's just everything's happening so fast. I would say that's like one of the, I guess, underlooked kind of parts of the game is how much mental agility you have to have through that. And so, we just eventually kind of rolled out a whole line of products that all work synergistically together to maximize your brain health. And so, was something that kind of started as an investment with one of my co-founders and then turned into a hobby to turn into when I retired. I was like, this is my full-time gig now. And, it kind of seamlessly worked out at the transition. My very last play of my NFL career, extremely gruesome, like horrific concussion that was really like to watch it on film. It looks pretty terrifying, and I think that was kind of like the epiphany and the calling of like, no, like this is where I'm going now. And so, been working on that since finished playing and trying to continue to create new products to help people and help them with these cognitive function areas. And the brain is the command center and it's connected to everything. And so to me, it's like the most important kind of part of your body to get everything else in line. And it's unfortunate that we kind of live in a society where everyone focuses on all the outside aesthetic portions. You could sell a protein product like that, no problem, because everybody wants to, look lean and do all that. But, a lot of people don't take care of their brain health until it's too late. And so trying to, get people to be more proactive in this area, staying on top of it, staying ahead of it, and kind of create longevity for people and to really help. I give this to my mom, my family, and even for myself when I finished playing. A lot of brain fog, memory issues, focus issues. My ADHD symptoms were, started to get worse and worse as I got older in the league. And so I've been able to, take my own products and actually restore and get my, brain and cognitive function back to, basically like close to baseline where I was before. And so I always tell people, I'm like, if y'all don't take it, I'm going to take all of it because I know it works. The science supports it. There's, tons of studies on all the ingredients and the products that we use. And so, yeah, I've been working on that and, just grinding away on that.
I gotta ask now, since you had this athletic background, how did you network to find, I guess, the scientists, will you call them, to do that part of the
Yeah.
process?
So my co-founder, his mom is a neurologist, and so we brought her on to our medical consulting team to help validate the studies. Me and my co-founder also just big health, wellness, nutrition, supplementation guys. So between kind of our knowledge, a lot of R&D, a lot of due diligence, going to different expos and meeting with different manufacturers and whatnot, we were able to kind of pick the ingredients that we liked, that we knew had studies, and not studies on animals. We picked ingredients that have human clinical studies to support the product. We made it for ourselves to work. So it wasn't like we're like, oh, let's see if we can make something that, maybe works. Like we're like, no, we need this and our
Right.
teammates need this. And, and if it can work on our brains that have been getting hit in the head almost our whole lives, it can definitely work on other people's brains. So, using consulting with some of our longtime NFL nutritionists and just people that are, my co-founder, his family are all doctors. So we have no shortage of people who can read through a clinical study and kind of break it down. If you've ever read any of those, sometimes they can be a little complex with the language in there. And so there's times where you're reading it saying, I'm not exactly sure what that means. And so that's where you have them to lean on. So we have a good team around us, good manufacturer around us. I think that's another area that people kind of get misconstrued, that the supplement world is kind of the wild west. Well, it can be if you're just getting a product on Amazon that has no GMP certification. You don't know where it was manufactured. A lot of those companies, they can literally have it made in China, it can get drop shipped straight to the Amazon warehouse. They've never even seen the product. Versus us, we're made right here in Austin, where we're owned and operated in a NSF GMP FDA registered facility, which is the gold standard for manufacturing practices. So we get to see the entire process of it. We get to see them, mix it, batch it, cap it, pack it, and distribute it. So we get to have eyes on every step of the process, which allows us to kind of ensure the quality, the purity, the accuracy of the dosage, and just really just kind of be hands-on throughout the entire process to where, we know that you're getting the best product that you can get. And so I think that's where a lot of people kind of get, misconstrued, whereas they're like, well, it's not FDA regulated. Well, correct. Not every single product has to go through an FDA approval, but the FDA does have oversight of the supplement industry. And if there is
Right.
an ingredient deemed unsafe, or if you do get caught, doing illegal or bad manufacturing practices, like the FDA can come in and do something. So it's not completely unregulated. It's just there's not that every single product has to go through a huge FDA approval process.
You talked about some of those areas that you have, I guess, certifications in for that gold standard. How tricky was it navigating and finding out even which ones you needed, which ones you didn't?
Yeah, it's when you kind of get in this world, you start to realize, what are some of the areas that you can ensure that your product is a high quality product. And
Right.
I think it's even just the fact of like, if your manufacturer is right here, you can literally go speak to them in person. You can see them, you can watch the whole process. Versus if you're doing it even out of the state or out of the country, you're speaking to people that you don't even really know. You might not even have ever met them in person.
Absolutely.
So that's not really someone that I would like to make my product, and I don't really get to see it all the time. And so we've been very fortunate. We found, kind of a mentor of ours too, has been in the supplement world for a long time out here in the Austin area. And so work really closely with them. And so that actually helps out just a ton of just being able to go be on the ground, watch everything happen. So
Well, I'd be remiss if I skipped over your other business. You've got another rock star business that you're working on. Before we dive into specifics with that, what is the funnest part about being in two such different sectors?
You don't get bored. I would say that, I think that's probably partly why I have kind of all these different ventures kind of going on is um I think just the way, being in the NFL for 12 years, your life is not boring at all. And so like, during the season it's this crazy roller coaster. Every week is a new adventure. Then you get all this free time after the season to kind of do whatever you want and be on your own schedule. So it's this kind of interesting mix of on a very regimented, like you're doing exactly what this schedule says. You're going to be here at this time, very controlling in a sense. To then your off season is like the complete opposite, where you don't have any schedule, you make your own schedule. And so I think, going into life after football, I knew that I had to do something where I was on my own schedule to where if there's weeks where I want to be extremely regimented and do everything right on a schedule, I can. And if there's weeks where I just want to go with the flow and do things on my own schedule, I can. And so I think that's kind of why I got into this. But doing some, I just these are areas that I like to learn about. And gaining knowledge in these areas. And they're areas that I started doing a lot of real estate stuff in the middle of my football career. Just a lot of real estate investing, whether it was house flipping, investing in spec homes, commercial development,
Right.
even going through like full tear downs and rebuilds and all these different areas. And so I think even just as an adult, as you go through life, like you're gonna have to sell your house and buy a new house. And it's just something you should know, even as just a regular person who's not in the real estate investing world and development world. So there's times where I'm looking through spreadsheets with numbers that is pretty boring. And then there's other times where, I'm getting to help design the label for a new product and like kind of more artistic. And so it keeps me entertained, keeps me, there's, I'm never like, man, I'm bored. I don't have anything to do. So it's always like, I always have something that can be done, something always to be working on.
Well, do you think that the entrepreneurship helped fill like a void of purpose and fulfillment? Like you said, you had 12 years of go, go, go. You knew what you were going to do. It was laid out in front of you. Did did you know you were going into entrepreneurship so you can have that go, go, go still, or what was that transition like?
Yeah, I think I knew that I was going to be, and I think I knew from maybe an early age where I was like, I think I need to, have my own business. I've always, whether it's been a captain or a leader on the team, I felt like I've always been in that role somehow or some way where I was either looked up to or I felt like I had a good understanding of how to get people to operate and to work more efficiently or work better. You can, just as a leader or a captain on your team, you have to be able to recognize when maybe a guy is going through some stuff or he's, not feeling too hot about how he's playing or whatever. You have to be able to motivate these people. And so I feel like I always did a pretty good job of that, or being able to connect with people right away, very fast and get comfortable with people right away. I can talk to anybody. I can have a conversation with anybody. So, I think that and just being able to take your vision and your goals and kind of and take it where you see you can go and building a company. And so, I don't know if it necessarily was, oh, I have to do this because it'll make my transition easier. It definitely has, but I think it was more of like this is just something I know that I want to do. I want to be able to do my own thing, and I think just being a risk taker and being able to kind of put yourself out there is something I've already done by trying to go to the NFL,
Right.
right out of college versus playing it safe and being like, okay, I'll just go get like a regular job and I can start making money right away. I didn't think like that at all. I thought like, no, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to go for one of the hardest, most competitive industries like in the world. I'm going to go into it. So I think after doing that, obviously business is also competitive, but I'm so used to being in that like competitive kind of cutthroat. Like if you don't do this at a high level, like you're going to be on the street type mentality. So I think maybe I'm just kind of wired like that now to where that's really the only way. And if I went and worked for somebody, I feel like I would, I'd be regretting it and kicking myself on like, man, I could have like done my own thing and my own schedule, my own hours, my own ideas, and brought those all to fruition. So
Well, I love the inspiration that you provided throughout this whole show. While we're on the topic, I didn't forget about the real estate company. We're still diving into that. What
yeah.
is one piece of advice you can have? Say there's another athlete viewing on this right now. They're having a tough time in that transition, whether it's professionally, collegiately. What is one tip you can give them that helped you along your way?
Yeah, I think, one thing that happens after football is you're so used to, like you get introduced to people, everyone knows they're like, oh, you're like a football, like you play in the NFL, like, oh, you get all these really like, big reactions when you meet people. And so I think a lot of it is like not being too prideful when when you retire that, just because your next kind of venture isn't super sexy and super eye-opening, like that's okay. Like you already did something that was extremely sexy and eye-opening and like what, almost nobody can do. It would be insane to think that you also have to do another venture in your life that is the same way. And so I think people are always looking to go into another venture that is another like, oh, wow, that's amazing type venture. And like, it doesn't have to be that. You go follow whatever your passion or what you are knowledgeable or what you're good at. And who cares if it isn't super eye-opening? It happens to me all the time where they're like, oh, what are you doing now? And I'm like, oh, I have a supplement company. And, I don't like sit there and waste all our time and going into every single thing that I'm doing. But I'm like, yeah, I do a lot of stuff, but my main objective right now is building my supplement company. And like
Yeah.
some people are like, oh, that's really cool. Some people are like, oh, and like I don't care. Like I've already done something really, I've already finished one of my passions in life, so most people don't even go after their only passion in life. So the fact that someone can expect you to like go into two different passions of life is a little insane. So I think that's one thing I would say is like don't worry about, you know, what people's reactions are to what you're doing now. It's okay to go do what a quote like normal job is now. You've already accomplished something that was extremely rare, and be proud of that. And then I
Yeah.
would say, kind of on top of that is just, go do what you want to do. If you've played football, you're probably in a different financial position than most. You probably have the liberty to go follow a passion that, might not be a high income area at the moment. And so you're not at um, you're not in the situation where you're like, I have to go get a job just so I can like make money right now. I think so. Just following your passion and just going into it with the same mentality you did as going into football of like, if I don't make this work, like I'm gonna die. And so if you don't go into that with that attitude, it's not gonna work out because that's why football worked out because you went into it thinking if I don't make this football thing work, like my ass is gonna be on the street. So
Well, that's certainly great inspiration and just the mindset you need. And I have had such great time typing up these show notes from when we go live. Follow your passion, whether it's eye-opening or not. If you're dedicated to something, as you know, you went into the NFL, good things will happen. Stay persistent, stay consistent, and we'll go from there. You've given us a lot. You've given the audience a lot here today, Andrew. Can't thank you enough. But before I let you go, let's dive more into this real estate company. You shared with us that you started it while you were playing. Started getting some expertise, not wasting any time. Talk about the transition now that you're full-time entrepreneur.
yeah. I would say, for me, I kind of block off my days and my weeks for to make sure I have time to kind of do everything. And so I'll either block off a specific day, or I'll if I'm traveling to go look at other properties and things like that. So I really just will pull up different areas that I know are kind of new hotbeds, researching new areas, and finding new areas, reaching out to realtors in those areas and being like, hey, what are you seeing here? And finding people that are on the ground level of that area and kind of what they're hearing, what they're feeling. And so, sometimes it's just me literally driving around properties, finding different things.
Yeah,
I'm literally always taking like videos and pictures like everywhere I go of different places, whether it's commercial or residential.
right.
I think with kind of the network that I have built in football and outside of football of just if needing to like take down a big project as far as whether it's, to get some investors, and just kind of have built out some of my team, so to speak. Like we're not really like necessarily all working for Dejo Capital, but I have like my contact in the Dallas area that I try to keep everything within Texas because it's just easy to like get
Okay.
to if I need to.
Sure.
Obviously, I have a couple of other like pro athlete guys that I've played with that are now in real estate in Florida and in different areas, and so always beneficial to be able to reach out to them and say like, hey, like what's doing well in that area right now, and um, I'm not necessarily like an expert in building and different things like that, but I have the guys that do that. And so you don't necessarily need to have
Right.
the expertise in every single aspect, but you got to have those contacts there. And so, I just got off a call yesterday with a guy, my guy in Dallas. It's like, hey, I have this property. Then he has his vendor, so to speak, that, his subs that will like vet the other parts of the project, and, just kind of going through. And so just getting a timeline on different things,
Right.
um, going through the numbers and seeing if it makes sense. But so I would say for that, it's something that I'll block off some hours during the day or during the week. Or if I'm just like, hey, I want to look at some more properties in this part of the state of Texas, and, go out there, go do like a weekend of just going to do a work trip to go check out new properties and different things, whether it's a remodel or where it's, hey, I think we could tear this whole thing down and build a new spec home here. And so I think just kind of building out your network of people in those areas, to where, you can kind of let them do a lot of the legwork.
Hmm.
You can kind of be more of the bank, so to speak. And so, I think that's the majority of how that business operates. I think it's for a lot of pro athletes. I've always told them like real estate is a great area because you're so cash heavy,
Right.
and cash is king in the real estate, and so it's they can only make so much earth, and you're not really. I mean, you can lose, but for the most part, you will probably at least get your money back on a lot of these deals. So, while I was playing, I would always try to advise guys like if you're looking to diversify some of your investments, outside of what your financial advisor is probably telling you, is like real estate is a great area to get into.
So many great points there. You talked about time blocking, something I live and die by too. That's how you get so much done. I got to take you one step further now. When you're doing all these big deals, you're making these networks. I loved how you said you keep everything in Texas, right? There's different laws in different states. You want to be able to have that quality control. What else made you really just focus on one state?
Because Texas is so damn big, I don't really need to go anywhere else. Like, I mean, between Austin, Houston, Dallas, and San Antonio, you have four big major cities that
Yeah,
I can get to on I can drive to if I have to. I think that's another thing is keeping things within your kind of arm's reach, to where, hey, like we need to go look at this. Something happened at this property, like we need to go look at it or whatever. And it's like, well, shit, if it's all the way out, in a different state, and it's like, okay, I got to book a flight and do all this, or send someone, if I want to get eyeballs on it, and I know I can drive there, I can catch a flight there extremely quick. So that's kind of how I like to do it. Or I have people in that area that I really trust,
right.
that I can go have them, go check things out. Or, even if you have to go for whatever reasons, doesn't really happen much anymore, but for whatever reason, you have to go sign something in person, or, um, even if it's the plumber like didn't do something correctly, well, like now I can go show up and I go speak to that guy in person and say like, hey, what
Yep.
what the hell happened here?
Important.
And so I think that's part of why it's just so big. And I think being a Texas guy, and uh you know you know planning on spending my time in Texas for the majority of the rest of my life. So, just continuing to build out your networks within the state that you're going to reside in will only help in all the other business areas, and they all can help each other and kind of stay within this ecosystem. So.
I love that message too, and it's something I try to always stay mindful for, where when you're networking, it's not just about that one individual. You're tapping into that individual's entire network where they may have someone that's a perfect fit for you. Before I let you go, and this will be an interesting one, since you already probably do know a lot of big time entrepreneurs, but one that you don't know, if you could sit down with any entrepreneur, dead or alive, who you have not met yet, who would you choose to pick their brain?
Gosh, there's some people that I think might be too smart for me to even like have a conversation with. Like,
Wow,
being in Austin, obviously we hear about Elon Musk a lot, but I'm not sure that if I sat down with him, that I would really be able to have I feel like he might be operating on a whole different level that
for sure.
I would be talking with him and we'd be speaking different languages. Um, gosh, that's I think, I think I would still pick Elon just because it would show you that, you don't have to stay in this like bubble of like things that are attainable, that it's okay to kind of like dream outside of this bubble and be like, no, like why can't we have a floating building that's like floating in the air and like, for new real estate, like why are we only building on the ground? Like let's build buildings in the air, just like things like that. And obviously like his Neuralink is it's far more advanced than me having a
Insane.
brain supplements, so he'd be like, well, why aren't these brain supplements being like directly injected into the brain through like adaptation on the Neuralink, it's like I think he would just like inspire you to dream way outside of your entire realm. And so I'm probably just gonna pick him as a good safe answer, so it'd be
You
an
can't
interesting combo, that's for damn sure.
you can't go wrong, and just look at even entrepreneurs out there. I always try to stay positive in this way too, where you never know what the next step is going to be. I mean, look how many different top of the line companies and worldwide solutions he's providing. You crushed it today, man. Can't thank you enough for taking some time to stop by and add your testimonial to our entrepreneurship community. Where can we find you online?
Yeah, you can find me on socials at Andrew.Sendejo. On Instagram, you can find us at BrainTreeNutrition.com, or our socials are Take Braintree. And you can also check out some of our venture capital stuff at fourthandoneVentures.com. So got a lot of stuff going on. But if you find me somewhere, you'll find all the rest of it too. So.
I love it. Well, everyone, be sure to go check out all he has to offer. And the show is at That Entrepreneur Show on all social media. And I am at Vincent A. Lancy on all social and YouTube. Be sure to subscribe to me there so you can catch the video clips from this episode a few weeks after it goes live. But with that, we're signing off today. Andrew, thanks a lot for your time.
Yeah, thanks for